Field Marshal Frederick Sleigh Roberts, 1st Earl Roberts, VC, KG, KP, GCB, GCSI, GCIE, KStJ, VD. PC was a British soldier who was one of the most successful commanders of the 19th century. He served in the Indian Rebellion, the expedition to Abyssinia and the Second Anglo-Afghan War before leading British forces to success in the Second Boer War. He also became the last commander-in-chief of the forces before the post was abolished in 1904. Early life. Born at Kanpur, India on 30 September 1832, Roberts was the son of General Sir Abraham Roberts, a native of County Waterford in the southeast of Ireland. At the time Sir Abraham was commanding the 1st Bengal European Regiment. Roberts was named Sleigh in honour of the garrison commander, Major General William Sleigh. His mother was Edinburgh-born Isabella Bunbury, daughter of Major Abraham Bunbury from Kilfickle in County Tipperary. Roberts was educated at Eton, Sandhurst, and Addiscombe Military Seminary before entering the East India Company Army as a second lieutenant with the Bengal Artillery on 12 December 1851. He became aide-de-camp to his father in 1852, transferred to the Bengal Horse Artillery in 1854 and was promoted to lieutenant on 31 May 1857. Indian Rebellion of 1857. Roberts fought in the Indian Rebellion of 1857, seeing action during the siege and capture of Delhi where he was slightly wounded, and being present at the relief of Lucknow, where, as Deputy Assistant Quartermaster General, he was attached to the staff of Sir Colin Campbell, Commander-in-Chief, India. He was awarded the Victoria Cross Medal for actions on 2 January 1858 at Kudahganj. The citation reads, "Lieutenant Roberts' gallantry has on every occasion been most marked. On following the retreating enemy on 2 January 1858 at Kudahganj, he saw in the distance 2 sepoys going away with standard. Lieutenant Roberts put spurs to his horse, and overtook them just as they were about to enter a village. They immediately turned round, and presented the muskets at him, and one of the men pulled the trigger, but fortunately the caps snapped, and the standard-bearer was cut down by this gallant young officer, and the standard taken possession of by him. He also, on the same day, cut down another sepoy who was standing at bay, with musket and bayonet, keeping officer War. Lieutenant Roberts rode to the assistance of the horseman, and, rushing at the sepoy, with one blow of his sword cut him across the face, killing him on the spot. He was also mentioned in dispatches for his service at Lucknow in March 1858. In common with other officers, he transferred from the East India Company Army to the Indian Army that year, Abyssinia and Afghanistan, having been promoted to second captain on 12 November 1860 and to brevet major on 13 November 1860. He transferred to the British Army in 1861 and served in the Umballa and Abyssinian campaigns of 1863 and 1867 to 1868 respectively, having been promoted to brevet lieutenant colonel on 15 August 1868 and to the substantive rank of captain on 18 November 1868. Roberts also fought in the Lushai campaign of 1871 to 1872. He was promoted to the substantive rank of major on 5 July 1872, appointed Companion of the Order of the Bath on 10 September 1872 and promoted to brevet colonel on 30 January 1875. That year he became Quartermaster General of the Bengal Army. He was given command of the Kurram Field Force in March 1878 and took part in the Second Anglo-Afghan War. distinguishing himself enough at the Battle of Peshawar in November 1878 to receive the thanks of Parliament, be promoted to the substantive rank of Major General on the 31st of December 1878 and be advanced to Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath on the 25th of July, 1879. In September 1879 he was dispatched, along with Maurice Abraham Cohen, an expert in the Urdu language, to Kabul to seek retribution for the death of Sir Louis Cavagnari, the British envoy there. He was also given the local rank of Lieutenant General on the 11th of November 1879. He was commander of the Kabul field force and brought at least 20 field guns with his army during the conquest and occupation of Kabul during the second phase of the war. His move against Kabul was sparked by the assassination of Cavagnari, the British envoy in Kabul and the official who had signed the Treaty of Gandamik with Emir Muhammad Yaqub Khan in May of that year. After completing his mission to occupy Kabul, he was appointed commander of the Kabul and Kandahar field force and led his 10,000 troops across 300 miles of rough terrain in Afghanistan to relieve Kandahar and defeat Ayub Khan at the Battle of Kandahar on 1 September 1880. For his services, Roberts again received the thanks of Parliament, and was advanced to Knighthood Cross of the Order of the Bath on 21 September 1880 and appointed Companion of the Order of the Indian Empire. During 1880, after a very brief interval as Governor of Natal and Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Transvaal Province and High Commissioner for Southeastern Africa with effect from 7 March 1881, Roberts was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Madras Army on 16 November 1881. Promoted to the substantive rank of Lieutenant General on 26 July, 1883, he became Commander-in-Chief, India on 28 November 1885 and was advanced to Knight Commander of the Order of the Indian Empire on 15 February 1887 and to Knight Grand Commander of the Order of the Indian Empire on reorganization of the Order on 21 June 1887. This was followed by his promotion to a supernumerary general on 28 November 1890 and to the substantive rank of general on 31 December 1891. On 23 February 1892 he was created Baron Roberts of Kandahar in Afghanistan and of the city of Waterford, after relinquishing his Indian command and becoming Knight Grand Commander of the Order of the Star of India on 3 June 1893. Lord Roberts was relocated to Ireland as Commander-in-Chief of British Forces from 1 October 1895. He was promoted Field Marshal on 25 May, 1895 and received the Order of St. Patrick during 1897. Second Anglo-Boer War. On 23 December 1899 Roberts returned to South Africa on the RMS Dunnottar Castle to take overall command of British forces in the Second Boer War, subordinating the previous commander, General Redvers Buller. His appointment was a response to a string of defeats in the early weeks of the war and was accompanied by the dispatch of huge reinforcements. For his headquarters staff, he appointed military men from far and wide. Lord Kitchener from the Sudan, Frederick Burnham, the American scout from the Klondike, David Henderson from the Staff College, Neville Chamberlain from Afghanistan and William Nicholson from Calcutta. Roberts launched a two-pronged offensive, personally leading the advance across the open veldt into the Orange Free State, while Buller sought to eject the Boers from the hills of Natal, having raised the siege of Kimberley. At the Battle of Paardeberg on 27 February 1900 Roberts forced the Boer General Piet Kronje to surrender with some 4,000 men. After another victory at Poplar Grove, Roberts captured the Free State capital Bloemfontein on the 13th of March. His further advance was delayed by his disastrous attempt to reorganize his army's logistics system on the Indian Army model in the midst of the war. The resulting chaos and shortage of supplies contributed to a severe typhoid epidemic that inflicted far heavier losses on the British forces than they suffered in combat. On the 3rd of May, Roberts resumed his offensive towards the Transvaal, capturing its capital Pretoria on the 31st of May. Having defeated the Boers at Diamond Hill and linked up with Buller, he won the last victory of his career at Bergendal on the 27th of August. The Boers continued to fight using guerrilla tactics. Strategies devised by Roberts to force the Boer commandos to submit included concentration camps and the burning of farms. Conditions in the concentration camps, which had been conceived by Roberts as a form of control of the families whose farms he had destroyed, began to degenerate rapidly as the large influx of Boers outstripped the ability of the minuscule British force to cope. The camps lacked space, food, sanitation, medicine, and medical care, leading to rampant disease and a very high death rate for those Boers who entered. Eventually 26,370 women and children died in the concentration camps. The Boer forces disintegrated, and with the war apparently effectively over, Roberts handed over command on the 12th of December to Lord Kitchener. He returned to England to receive yet more honours. He was made a Knight of the Order of the Garter and also created Earl Roberts of Kandahar in Afghanistan and Pretoria in the Transvaal colony and of the city of Waterford and Viscount St. Pierre. He became a Knight of Grace of the Order of St. John on the 11th of March 1901 and then a Knight of Justice of that order on the 3rd of July 1901. On the 9th of August 1902 he was also appointed one of the first members of the Order of Merit. He was also awarded the German Order of the Black Eagle during the Kaiser's visit to the United Kingdom in February 1901. Later life. Lord Roberts became the last Commander-in-Chief of the forces on the 3rd of January 1901. During his time in office he introduced the short magazine Lee Enfield rifle and the 18-pounder gun and provided improved education and training for soldiers. He served as Commander-in-Chief for 3 years before the post was abolished as recommended by Lord Esher in the Esher Report in February 1904. He was the initial president of the Pilgrims Society during 1902. National Service League. In retirement he was a keen advocate of introducing conscription in Britain to prepare for a great European war. Following his return from the Boer War, he was instrumental in promoting the mass training of civilians in rifle shooting skills through membership of shooting clubs, and a facsimile of his signature appears to this day on all official targets of the National Small Bore Rifle Association. In 1907 a selection of his speeches was published under the title A Nation in Arms. Roberts provided William Loque with information for his novel The Invasion of 1910 and checked the proofs. In 1910 Roberts' friend Ian Hamilton, in cooperation with the Secretary of State for War, Richard Haldane, published Compulsory Service in which he attacked Roberts' advocacy of conscription. This caused much hurt to Roberts. He replied, with the help of Leo Amery and J. A. Cram, with fallacies and facts. In an important speech in Manchester's Free Trade Hall on the 22nd of October 1912, Roberts pointed out that Cobden and Bright's prediction that peace and universal disarmament would follow the adoption of free trade had not happened. He further warned of the threat posed by Germany. In the year 1912, just as in 1866 and just as in 1870, war will take place the instant the German forces by land and sea are, by the superiority at every point, as certain of victory as anything in human calculation can be made certain. We may stand still. Germany always advances, and the direction of her advance, the line along which she is moving, is now most manifest. It is towards complete supremacy by land and sea. He claimed that Germany was making enormous efforts to prepare for war and ended his speech by saying, "Gentlemen, only the other day I completed my 80th year. And the words I am speaking today are therefore old words, the result of years of earnest thought and practical experience. But, gentlemen, my fellow citizens and fellow Britishes, citizens of this great and sacred trust, this empire, if these were my last words, I still should say to you, arm yourselves, and if I put to myself the question, how can I, even at this late and solemn hour, best help England, England that to me has been so much, England that for me has done so much, again I say, arm and prepare to acquit yourselves like men, for the day of your ordeal is at hand." Quote. The historian A.J.A. Morris claimed that this speech caused a sensation due to Roberts' warnings about Germany. It was much criticized by the liberal and radical press. The Manchester Guardian was disgusted at the insinuation that the German government's views of international policy are less scrupulous and more cynical than those of other governments. Prussia's character among nations is, in fact, not very different from the character which Lancashire men give to themselves as compared with other Englishmen. It is blunt, straightforward, and unsentimental. The nation claimed Roberts had an unimaginative soldier's brain, and that Germany was a friendly power who since 1870 has remained the most peaceful and the most self-contained, though doubtless not the most sympathetic, member of the European family. The historian John Terraine, writing in 1993, said, "At this distance of time the verdict upon Lord Roberts' Manchester speech must be that, in speaking out clearly on the probability of war, he was doing a patriotic service comparable to Churchill's during the 30s. Honours." Roberts became vice president of the public schools Alpine Sports Club during 1903. Part of the history of skiing, a forerunner of the downhill ski race, the Roberts of Kandahar Cup occurred during Crans, Montana 8 years later on the 11th of January 1911, organized by winter sports pioneer Arnold Lunn, with the trophies donated by Lord Roberts. The name Kandahar is still used for the premier races of the World Cup circuit. On the 28th of February 1908 he was awarded the Volunteer Officer's Decoration in recognition of his service in the volunteer force. His long list of honorary military posts included Honorary Colonel of the 2nd London Corps from the 24th of September 1887, Honorary Colonel of the 5th Battalion, the Sherwood Foresters from the 29th of December 1888, Honorary Colonel of the 1st Newcastle upon Tyne, Royal Artillery from the 18th of April 1894, Honorary Colonel of the Waterford Artillery from the 4th of March 1896, Colonel Commandant of the Royal Artillery from the 7th of October 1896, Honorary Colonel of the 3rd Battalion, the Loyal North Lancashire Regiment from the 1st of January 1898, Honorary Colonel of the City of London Imperial Volunteers from the 10th of March 1900, Honorary Colonel of the 3rd Volunteer Battalion, the Gloucestershire Regiment from the 5th of September 1900, Colonel of the Irish Guards from the 17th of October 1900, Honorary Colonel of the 2nd Hampshire Royal Garrison Artillery from the 15th of August 1901, Honorary Colonel of the 3rd Volunteer Battalion, the Black Watch from the 19th of September 1903. Honorary Colonel of the North Somerset Yeomanry from the 1st of April 1908. Honorary Colonel of the 6th Battalion, the City of London Regiment from the 1st of April 1908. Honorary Colonel of the 1st Wessex Brigade from the 1st of April 1908. Honorary Colonel of 6th Battalion, the Gloucestershire Regiment from the 1st of April 1908. Honorary Colonel of the Waterford Royal Field Reserve Artillery from the 2nd of August 1908 and Honorary Colonel of 1st Battalion, the East Yorkshire Regiment from the 11th of November 1914. Additionally, he was Colonel of the National Reserve from the 5th of August 1911. He took part in the funeral procession following the death of Queen Victoria in January 1901 and the funeral procession following the death of King Edward VII in May 1910. Curragh incident. Roberts was approached for advice about the Ulster Voluntary Force, formed in January 1913 by Ulstermen who had no wish to be part of a Home Rule Ireland. Too old himself to take active command, Roberts recommended Lieutenant General Sir George Richardson, formerly of the Indian Army, as commander. On the morning of the 20th of March, the morning of Paget's speech which provoked the Curragh incident, in which Hubert Gough and other officers threatened to resign rather than coerce Ulster, Roberts, aided by Wilson, drafted a letter to the Prime Minister, urging him not to cause a split in the army. Roberts had asked the 6th John French to come and see him at Ascot on the 19th of March. French had been too busy but invited Roberts to visit him when next in London. On the morning of the 21st of March, Roberts and French had an acrimonious telephone conversation in which Roberts told French that he would share the blame if he collaborated with the Cabinet's dastardly attempt to coerce Ulster, and then, after French told him that he would do his duty as a soldier and obey lawful orders, put the phone down on him. Soon after, Roberts received a telegram from Hubert Gough, purporting to ask for advice, although possibly designed to goad him into further action. Roberts requested an audience with King George V, who told him that Sleigh, to whom the king had recently spoken, had complained that Roberts was at the bottom of the matter, had incited Gough, and had called the politicians swine and robbers in his phone conversation with French. Roberts indignantly denied this, claiming that he had not been in contact with Gough for years and that he had advised officers not to resign. Roberts' claim may not be the whole truth, as Gough was on first-name terms with Roberts' daughter and later gave her copies of key documents relating to the incident. Roberts also had an interview with Sleigh but came away thinking him drunk with power, although he learned that Paget had been acting without authority and left a note for Hubert Gough to this effect. This note influenced the Gough brothers in being willing to remain in the army, albeit with a written guarantee that the army would not have to act against Ulster. After Roberts's lobbying, the king insisted that Asquith make no further troop movements in Ulster without consulting him. Roberts wrote to French denying the swine and robbers comment, although French's reply stressed his hurt that Roberts had thought so ill of him. Death. Roberts died of pneumonia at Saint-Omer, France, on the 14th of November 1914 while visiting Indian troops fighting in the First World War. After lying in state in Westminster Hall, he was given a state funeral and was then buried in St. Paul's Cathedral. Roberts had lived at Englemere House at Ascot in Berkshire. His estate was probated during 1915 at £77,304. Family. Roberts married Nora Henrietta Bewes on the 17th of May 1859. They had 6 children, of whom 3, a son and 2 daughters, survived infancy. His son Frederick Hugh Shurston Roberts VC was killed in action on the 17th of December 1899 at the Battle of Colenso during the Boer War. Roberts and his son were one of only 3 pairs of fathers and sons to be awarded the VC. Today, the Victoria Crosses are in the National Army Museum. His barony became extinct, but by the special remainder granted with them he was succeeded in the earldom and viscountcy by his elder surviving daughter, Aileen. She was succeeded by her younger sister Edwina, who died in 1955. Legacy. In 1914, Lady Roberts unveiled a memorial statue to her late husband in Kelvingrove Park, Glasgow. There is an equestrian statue of Roberts on Horse Guards Parade in London. The main street of Ladysmith, BC, Canada is named after Lord Roberts. Roberts Barracks at Larkhill Garrison and the town of Roberts Ganj in Uttar Pradesh are named after him. Lord Roberts French Immersion Public School in London, Ontario, Lord Roberts Junior Public School in Scarborough, Ontario, and Lord Roberts Elementary Schools in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Winnipeg, Manitoba are named after him. Roberts is also a senior boys' house at the Duke of York's Royal Military School. The Lord Roberts Centre, a facility at the National Shooting Centre built for the 2002 Commonwealth Games, and HQ of the National Small Bore Rifle Association is named in his honour. On the 29th of May 1900, Pretoria surrendered to the British Commander-in-Chief, Lord Roberts. Due to the frequency of malaria and because the area had become too small, he relocated his headquarters from the vicinity of the Normal College to a high-lying site 10 kilometers southwest of the city, hence the name Roberts Heights. Roberts Heights, a busy military town, the largest in South Africa and resembling Aldershot, soon developed. On the 15th of December 1938, the name was changed to Voortrekkerhoogte and again to Thabberschwyn on the 19th of May 1998. The grave of Roberts Charger von Lull is marked by a headstone in the gardens of the Royal Hospital Culmaneum in Dublin.